So today we're finally starting episode 8. This is the last in the main set. Then there's, I think, 3 side novels. I say Tsubasa, Hane, and Saku. I don't know if that's the order. I think Saku's the newest, but that's all I'm pretty sure of. And I'll be sure to do those too, though they're going to be a bit more of a pain to set up. They're not on Steam. Why? Put them on there. We got a cool new title screen now too. Come to think of it. Episode 8, Twilight of the Golden Witch. Good morning. To think that this is goodbye brings me great sadness as well. I have prepared a farewell party for this night. There will be a game tournament as well, so I ask that you participate with vigor. Like pepper, the difficulty comes in tiny yet spicy grains. Why not participate yourself, now at the very end? That'll make sense in a bit. Episode 8 is a little bit more interactive. In a couple spots at least. Okay. Here he is. I think he fits fine there. Actually, no, let's put him over here today. I've been thinking, by the way, I don't know if people actually enjoy having, like, the chat on the screen or not. I know some people do that, some people don't. I want to get some opinions on that, but it'll have to wait till there's more people around. It's always slow when I just start. 2 silhouettes could be seen in the chapel. A big brother and a little sister. The big brother who would never return from that day 12 years in the past, and the little sister who waited all alone 12 years in the future. Bad news for some people, episode 8 is going to be an Angie episode. However, the big brother knew everything, understood everything, and the little sister knew nothing, understood nothing. So, no matter how much time passed, the little sister remained as the girl she had been 12 years before. Allie, please don't sneeze on my arm. Yeah, that would be kind of nice, being able to hide the Matte Pat and Rika layers. I don't think I'll need them anymore. But that's going to be a while, considering I still have the side novels. So, end of the year, maybe, at this rate. She remained a 6-year-old girl forever. Her sobs into his chest finally subsided. She quietly waited for his next words. After patting her head gently, the big brother fished around inside his shirt pocket. I don't see his shirt pocket. Then he took that out. Are you listening, Angie? Take good care of this. What is it? A key? Butler took a large key attached to a necklace out of his pocket and then held it out to Angie. It was large enough to cover his entire palm, and little Angie probably wouldn't even be able to wrap her hand all the way around it. The key glittered gold and had a beautiful, intricate design. Its weight alone made it clear that this key was something very important. Ballard put the necklace around Angie's neck. This precious key is yours alone. What's it for? Look, we even get a new Angie portrait in episode 8. That's how you know she's gonna get focus. Oops. Let's see. I assume by that you mean Rika. So I'll put her here too. They can be buddies. Okay. This precious key is yours alone. What's it for? Oh yeah, what I was gonna do is show off the new ugly ass pachinko images. Man, I can't believe that they ever put these into the official version. I guess there were licensing issues or something, so they couldn't get the PS3 sprites, but you gotta do better than this. You gotta. It's bad. This, on the other hand, is Kino. What's it for? The time to use it will come soon. When it does, you'll have to decide for yourself. Understand? Of course, she didn't have a clue what Butler was saying, but she did realize that he was telling her to take good care of this key. So Angie nodded, at least in response to that part. In her hand, the key had felt heavy. However, now that it was around her neck, it felt as light as an ordinary necklace. How strange. Okay, let's go. Where to? She had been sure that her brother was about to sit down. After all, just a second ago, he said he'd tell her what happened on Akenjima that day. She'd expected him to tell her here. On that day, on that island, just what is it that happened? I thought you were going to tell me about that, Bunny-chan. Absolutely. And you'll be given the chance to listen. However, to you, it may not feel as though you're merely listening to a story. What does that mean? What you really want isn't to know what happened on that island on that day. So he does understand after all. What happened on that island that day? Trying to answer that question was all I was capable of, so I wished for nothing more. But if I could, I'd want to go there. To that island. On that day. To Rakenjima on the day I couldn't go. Because I think she canonically had a cold and had diarrhea or something. To the Ushibuna family mansion. To Mom and Dad. To all the cousins, all the relatives, and to Goda, and everyone else. I want to go back to that island on that day. So I remained the way I was on that day. My heart and soul stuck as a 6-year-old's forever. I want to go home. I know. Mom, Dad, Oni-chan, everyone. I want to go home to where everyone is. That's why I've decided to invite you there. Huh? Oni-chan is the game master now. Only those who know everything about the game board can open it up and invite pieces in. So I'll invite you to come to the game board. You'll take me to Rakenjima on that day? That's right. I'll invite you to the Rakenjima of 1986. It's so fortunate that this happens to be 1986 and not 1987. Will I be able to see everyone? Of course. Even though my memory is vague and I can't remember anyone's face clearly, you'll remember soon enough. And though it'll be a reunion after 12 years for you, it'll only have been a short gap for us. Everyone will welcome you. When you finally return from the distant future, everyone will welcome you. What are you doing? Will I be able to stay there forever? This way, I can be with everyone forever. This is the goal I'm supposed to reach. Angie, listen to me carefully. But Battler spoke in an admonishing tone. As though warning me that this was a dream that wouldn't be granted. The Rakenjima family conference usually ends after a single night. Because of the typhoon that day, the boat couldn't come, and it lasted 2 nights. So when the typhoon passes, I'll have to leave the island again? Not exactly. That decision is yours as well, Angie. You'll decide that yourself. I understand, of course. I don't exist on the island on that day. It's a miracle just to be invited there like this. Just the 2 days before the typhoon passes. Just getting those 2 days to myself is already the sort of miracle that'll never come again. If I'm greedy enough to ask for more, that faint miracle might vanish. Even though I thought this, my young heart, which was still 6 years old, wasn't satisfied with such a short-lived miracle. Want to leave. I know. Oh. Throat. It's a bad throat day. I'll be with everyone forever. I'll stay with my family. Even if Oni-chan says I have to head back, I'll stay on Rakenjima. You can stay or you can leave, but it's not as though one of those is the right choice. That's not how it works, Angie. Even so, you'll let me choose? We solved your epitaph. If you mean, have I realized who you are, yes. Even so, you'll let me choose? Yes. That's what the key is for. Bella touched the glittering key that hung from Angie's neck. I've already made my decision. You don't have to decide now. The time to choose will come soon. When it does, you must use your honest heart to choose how you'll use that key. It's easy to identify people based on their speech patterns, you know? I have a knack for that kind of thing. It's language-based. I'm a translator. It comes naturally. I was watching an edited VOD of Germa playing Family Feud with someone the other day. And, like, a lot of the answers you can naturally deduce via, like, word frequency, just, like, what you've heard before. There was a problem, like, name a phrase, a word or phrase, where, the word moon is. So there's, like, a word before moon or after moon. And I'm like, okay, moonlight. That's a pretty easy one. Neither of them guessed moonlight. How do you not guess that? They guessed moonshine, which was actually surprisingly number 3, so that's not too bad. But, like, I don't know. I don't know how you don't come up with really obvious answers like that. Like, just think, like, look in this, like, big Rolodex index in your head and, like, search up moon. I can kind of do that and say, like, okay, I've heard this a lot, I've heard that a little. This is something I kind of became aware of when learning Japanese. It's gonna, like, okay, I've seen this word a lot. This word's probably important. Or I've only seen this word, like, once every 3 years. I can probably forget this one. Or, like, you know, I'm probably not going to want to use this in everyday conversation. It's probably not a good idea. It's probably not a conversation word. It's like a literary word, you know? Kind of thing is... It's a nice ability to have. It's my Toho ability. You don't need to listen to anything your Oni-chan tells you. You're free to choose your answer in any way you like. However, if you're a good kid, and if you can trust your Oni-chan, if I can, then believe everything Oni-chan says. I'll believe all of it. That'll lead to the best choice for you. Listen to your Oni-chan's words and believe everything. Can you do that? I don't know. You just said you can. Well, I shouldn't be arguing against a 6-year-old, I guess. Expecting consistent logic and narrative from a 6-year-old. That's good enough. Believe whatever you want to. That's also a choice you can make. If I don't believe Oni-chan, will I wake up from this dream? That won't happen. So don't worry. For some reason, Angie was suspicious of her brother and scared of him. It's probably the cape. Shady Cloak. Her wish was to remain on that island on that day, together with her family, forever. She was afraid that, once she got her 2 miraculous days, her brother might tell her to be satisfied with that and return to 12 years in the future, all alone. I already told you, there is no right decision. You can go, or you can stay. That's for you to decide. And you don't need to make a decision right now. And no one will force me to make either choice? Of course. And Oni-chan won't tell me to go back to the future? There's a choice your Oni-chan wants you to make. Even so, Oni-chan wants to respect your decision and let you reach it of your own accord, regardless of what it happens to be. And I just told you, I've already made my choice. And I just told you, now isn't the time to choose. When will it be time? At the end of episode 8, the key will tell you. The large gold key hung from Angie's neck. Her small hand held it tightly. At that moment, she noticed a book lying on the chapel's altar. The book had a lock on it and was sealed, so that it could not be read without a key. I always catch myself spelling the word altar wrong. You know, because there's altar as in change something, and then there's altar as in, like, a ceremonial altar. I always have to, like, double-check myself. Angie looked between the key hanging at her chest and the book on the altar. To be a translator, you don't need spelling sense, you need word sense. So it's okay. You can make up for that later. Like, you can proofread that. You can have other people proofread it. There's options for that. But ideally, you'll have, like, the writing sense yourself somewhat. I guess you can have, like, someone edit that too, but it's better that you get as much as you can to maintain a good balance between accuracy and readability. Will this key unlock that book? Don't touch that book. His sudden, forceful response made Angie flinch. Butler, realizing he had scared Angie, softened his expression. Come on, let's go. I'm inviting you to come back to October 4th, 1986. Okay. Butler held out his hand, and Angie gripped it tightly. Then, they started walking. Blue-skadoo, weekend 2. Butler did not do that. A brilliant light lay beyond the chapel's door. That blinding light peeked in through the cracks around the door. A lot of the time, my testers are like playtesters and proofreaders, because a lot of the time, the games have issues, and usually it's not too late for the dev to fix them. So typically, the people that I ask to help out fill both roles, but some people are better at one aspect of that, and some people are better at others, and I'm fine with that. I usually have a few people, so I can kind of cover both bases. Right now for Labyrinth, so for the initial demo testing, we had 3 testers. And we haven't tested the next update yet because 3 Peso is still working. But we will have 7 testers. And me, I'll also be playing it. Because we need enough eyes on the game to catch stuff. Very, very important, especially, you know, with bugs too. The game is still developing and all that. They found a lot of bugs and things that needed fixing, so it's good that I had more than just basic proofreaders that like looked at the sheets. They played the game. They do incredible. A blinding light peeked in through the cracks around the door. The brother and sister began to walk through to the other side. I slept through Dylan's Cena stream last night, by the way. I was aware I was going to, but I just had to keep sleeping. Maybe I'll watch his VOD later and like watch to see if any typos or anything came up. I say that, I probably won't, but maybe. Maybe I'll do it while I walk. Welcome back, Angie. This will be the last time. I'm opening this game board one last time for you. And queue opening. I mean, my health is fine. It's just, I haven't found as much time to walk lately, but when I do, you know, I'll queue up the VOD as like one of the 20 long-form videos I'm gonna watch. I can talk over this a little bit because we've already heard it. I think, like, it's the same opening as 7, right? I think it's the same. Oh, in my case, I just walk inside my house because I don't want to have to deal with the weather. So I just walk circles around, like, my kitchen and living room. I do laps for hours. Do I do cardio? If you count that, rarely, I'll jog for a couple minutes around the same lap inside, too. But only for a few minutes because my stamina is still garbage. Over the past, like, month and a bit, I've lost almost 20 pounds. But my stamina is still not great. And I still feel like I look the same. So I've got more to go. So I'm going to aim for 140 once I hit 150. Which I'm, like, in the process of doing. I was, I think, 150.4 when I weighed this morning. So I'm getting there. Just from my point of view. I can safely get out of 130 just fine, maybe even lower. Because I used to be 130. Like 125 back when I was like 18, 20 or so. And I haven't grown since then. You know, I'm still the same height. I stopped growing at like 16. I'm 5'5". You might not be able to tell, just from like stream perspective, but I am a short man. Which means I can be a light man if I want. Hey, 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 that's my arm. She gets excited if you do this too much. She likes it. But it gets her wound. Hey, don't bite me like that. Stop. Hey. I'm not gonna pet you if you're threatening to scratch and bite me. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, goodness. Yeah. Fall, fall, fall. Ochiru. Once again, Captain Kawabata's spray boat to Rakenjima cut across the sea in perfect form. Yes, the tale of October 4th, 1986 always begins with Battler's screams, but this time one thing was different. There was another yell alongside Battler's. Battler was screaming, the other was laughing? Fall, fall, fall. I mean, the other laughing could just be Maria. To be fair, I think she was. Yo. Appreciate the achievement, thanks. Fun, fun, fun. Battler's face looks funny. So remember, Angie's 6 and Maria's 9, so that's why Angie is even tinier. Alongside the big brother, who was grasping at the handrail and screaming in a way that no one that age should scream, was the little sister, also grasping the handrail and jumping about like it was a ride at an amusement park. George and the others just couldn't hold in their laughter at the difference. I guess Battler hasn't changed much these past 6 years. He's as energetic as ever. Plus, Angie and Maria look even more cheery than usual this year. Could this be the first time we've had all 5 cousins together? Oh, is it? I get it. That explains why it's noisier this year than any other year before. George Anarchy, this is way too fast, right? I'm begging you as the driver to slow down before it's too late. I mean, he could just go inside. Sounds like he's standing, like, at the railing. Like, at the only place where you could fall off the boat. Maybe I'm just saying that because of this perspective, though. The background here. This is too fast? That was so pathetic. I want to go faster. Faster, faster. Yeah, it is funny. Because we've seen Kawabata, but that wasn't like Angie's future, but I imagine they could still reuse the same spread if they wanted. It's weird that they don't bother showing you here, though. Any faster than this, and I'll fall right off the boat. Will that make you happy? I'm gonna fall. Hahaha. Going by popular vote, I'd have to say that Battlerkun's proposal is rejected. Look out, Oni-chan. Look, you're gonna fall. She's kind of a bully for 6 years old. Scaredy cat Battler needs to be punished. Tickle time. But wait, stop, Mario. You too, Angie. No. Thank goodness. I was worried about Angie's health, but it'd be too sad to leave her behind at home. I'm glad we decided to bring her anyway. Wasn't she very sick shortly before you left? She was all better this morning. Kids can be so incredible sometimes. She's the kind of person whose health takes a hit when she's stressed. It's not that strange for people like that to get all better when the big day finally comes. She must really have been looking forward to playing with all 5 of the cousins together. Oh ho ho, just watching them play together makes you feel charged with energy, doesn't it? The adults smiled as they watched their children play around. Angie, who had gotten very sick, and who everyone had thought would be absent, made a miraculous recovery. Thanks in part to her strong desire to join in, she'd come along to the family conference with the others. So it's like a bug flying around. And so, for the first time ever, all 5 cousins were gathered together. October 4th, 1986 became a day like no other. Miracle Fragment. Now we just need a fragment where both Angie and Leon are here, but that probably isn't possible. You probably can't manipulate the RNG that much. By the way, Angie probably has a bio. She does. Ushitmiya Angie, Rudolph and Kidea's daughter, Butler's younger sister from a different mother. She gets sick easily, but she managed to get better just in time to attend this year's family conference. She's so happy this year, surrounded by her beloved family and relatives. Look, she has the crest on one of her socks. And I think everyone's just gonna have the same stuff, right? Besides her. Next. Empty. Yeah, essentially, she got better in time for the conference this time around. In this fragment, or this story, or whatever you want to think of it as right now. The kids dashed up the path leading from the harbor to the rose garden. Nancy throwing off the baby was essential for Angie's health. Yeah, it butterfly affected. Yep. The whole gold butterfly thing is clearly just supposed to represent the butterfly effect. That's why she's the Animal Witch. She's the Witch of Infinite Possibilities. I'm making this up, but this could actually kind of have some brains to it. Change one little thing, butterfly effect, makes an entirely different story. They were probably so charged up that even walking was too boring for them. I saw on Twitter, by the way, that someone is making a video about Deltarune and Umineko. They're convinced that Toby Fox has secretly seen Umineko, read Umineko, and has avoided mentioning that as one of his inspirations because apparently his dream that he had that told him, I have to make this game, was right around the time that episode 8 was released, or translated. I'm not sure which. Probably translated, because he didn't know Japanese back then, I'm quite confident. So, this person essentially is making a video where they're going to convince us that Toby has read Umineko, and that the story is going to take a very similar turn in some way, and Toby is intentionally obfuscating the fact that he knows Umineko because he doesn't want people to make that connection and figure it out ahead of time. So that's a video I'm gonna watch. You bet. That is my kind of video. So I look forward to that. I don't follow the person on Twitter, but if anyone happens to see the video and I haven't already seen it, like if it doesn't happen to come up in my recommended, and you're like subbed to them or something, give me a heads up that it's out. Because I really, really want to see that. Thank you. Wow, see that? First place. Bella was the first one to reach the Rose Garden, which was the goal. Apparently, he was trying to make up for the dishonor he had suffered on the boat by proving his superiority on land. A short while later, Angie and Mario reached him in a dead heat. I'm second. I'm faster than Angie. Ooh. No, you aren't. Mario and H-chan cheated. I'm second. The 3-year gap between Angie and Mario was large, especially since both of them were growing kids. It was only natural that Mario was faster, but Angie seemed to be complaining about a shoulder bump at the start line. Mario and Achan cheated, so she gets last place. Teacher always says you get last place if you cheat, protested Angie. Come on, no need to fight. Get out of there, Avery. Hey, no going behind the monitor. That's where I keep my skeletons. Still, both of you really are fast. It's been a long time since I've run that much. The breeze feels so nice. Are you out of shape, George Anarchy? You know, anyone who has to run the race to make it before the bell every day gets strong legs by default. In other words, being a fast runner is proof that you sleep in a lot. I mean, he's already... I think he's already done with high school. He's like, what, 20, 21 at this point? So, Oni-chan always sleeps in. He didn't wake up today either, so I had to wake him up, right? A stomp followed by a flying elbow. And that body plex from the top rope at the end there just about finished me. Hey, no. I think Battler's 18. I'll go look on the wiki. I think Battler's 18. I think Jessica's like 17. Yeah, the wiki says Battler's 18. Okay, come on. Ooh. Down we go. No more of that. I'm not gonna keep entertaining that. Oh, it's fine. The numbers come up so rarely in the story besides Angie and Mario. It was 50. Wow, really? Huh. Yeah, George is... George Umineko. Surely this is my history. Umineko George Fat. Okay, no. I don't have George's page in my history. I just have a search. George is 23. Even older than I thought. Wow. That sounds more likely to put you in an eternal sleep. Sounds fun. I want to do it too. I want to go to an eternal sleep. I'll bet Oni-chan sleeps in tomorrow too. We'll wake him up together this time, okay? I'd recommend against staying up too late tonight. Finally, the adults came into sight. The cousins waved at them, urging them to hurry up. Angie and Mario were so excited that they could hardly wait. Just by having all 5 cousins together, just by adding Angie into the group. Look at how energetic this day has become. Where did the George Fat thing come from? I don't really know where it originated. If I had to guess, probably 4chan or something. I don't actually know. What's this other thing? This is something else written by Ryukishi7. Sorry, I got distracted by stuff in the wiki. I don't know where George Fat originated from. Anyone knows? Tell me. Excuse me. The family members have arrived. So they made it. I must let Father know. Are they all in the guest house now? Yes. They will meet you here after they have set down their luggage. Understood. Well, look, it's Shannon and Cannon together. Cannon, please show them the way. Shannon, quickly get some tea ready. As you wish, madam. I'm so glad that I can finally talk about stuff like Shannon and Cannon now that we've read episode 7. It's hard as a Umineko fan to just watch all the like little clues and things here and there, because there are clues. Or rather, maybe less of clues and more like, well, there's the fact that they never show up in front of Battler together. But in scenes where Battler isn't there, they'll happily both be there. Because those scenes aren't from an objective perspective. Yeah, they're very recontextualized. And watching someone else play Umineko and just sitting at the side and being is an experience that everyone should experience once. It's fun. It's frustrating. You really have to hold yourself back and not give hints on it. As you wish, madam. Father, it's me, Kraus. Yeah, I've been watching someone on Discord. They play every Tuesday. I'm eventually gonna watch edited VODs of Joseph Anderson playing it too. Probably edited ones. Probably not the full ones. I don't got time for that. Man, I barely got time to stream all of Umineko. You think I want to watch 2 unedited playthroughs? I don't think so. But I'm curious to watch him play it somewhat because I like the guy. After Kraus knocked on the door, it opened from the inside. Oh, Dr. Nanjo. How is Father doing? No need to worry. He's changing as we speak. I think he's just a little nervous. Who are you calling nervous? No, I cannot find my favorite one-winged necktie pin. How many times must I tell Natsuhi? My possessions must never be moved without my approval. So Kinzo's actually alive in this fragment, by the way. This truly is the perfect anti-fragment. She gets everything. Apparently, Kinzo had been running around for some time just because he couldn't decide on a tie and a tie pin. Kinzo, who felt that the dignity of the family head must always be preserved, usually made a big deal about the head's attire being equally dignified. There's actually a case to be made. I don't know if it's canon or if it's just what people choose to believe, that, like, Kinzo is actually, like, a really good grandpa around his kids. Like a goofy, friendly grandpa, like he'll end up being in this episode. I hope that it's true, and we just don't really get to see it until now. Will we make it in time? Do you think you could give us a little longer? We'll come down as soon as he's ready. Okay, he teaches his kids how to use guns, but not the grandkids. Sorry, I meant to say grandkids, not kids there. Understood. I'm counting on you, Dr. Nanjo. Father, I must say, that necktie pin looks splendid on you. Hurry up already. This night, necktie pin, you say? This pin? The family conference is held but once a year. There shall be no compromise. I must have that necktie pin. Where is it? Where? He's looking for, like, the Club Penguin pin that Maria gifted him. Ginzo said, you already looked in that drawer 5 seconds ago. Besides, you own several splendid necktie pins. Is it not stylish to select something fitting to match fate's whims? You think so? So I don't need to use the one-winged eagle pin? As Krauser watched Nanjo calm Ginzo down, he started finding it hard to believe that this doctor wasn't his own mother. I mean, hey, we never get to see Ginzo's wife. I'm just saying, there's all sorts of other conspiracy theories. I think Nanjo Grandma could be one of them. Well, it was always like this. He always makes a fuss when no one's looking, but when the time comes, he makes his decision with pride. After asking Nanjo to come down by lunch, at the latest, Kraus snuck out of the study. Ginzo is a man of many waifus. What do you think? A splendid aroma, is it not? And a unique one as well. I've never had pumpkin tea before. That little touch of sweetness makes it delicious. As one step in preparing the tea for the guests, Goda let Shannon try a bit first. Until then, Shannon had thought it would be outrageous for a servant such as herself to drink the same thing as the family and her guests. However, according to Goda, that kind of thinking was a mistake. One must not serve something if one does not know the taste beforehand. For example, when you visit a restaurant and a dish you've never heard of catches your eye, what are you likely to ask the waiter? How does this dish taste, correct? I see. So if the waiter says that he's never eaten it before, that would seem a bit odd. I wouldn't really say so from, like, the waiter. It's different. Like, a personal family servant who helps make the food is very different from a waiter who carries the food. Now, if the chef has never tasted the food, that's maybe a little bit sus. Precisely. As a matter of course, anyone serving the customers must be deeply acquainted with the taste of the tea and fruit they serve. Oh, and you always feel happier serving a sort of tea that you've tried and enjoyed for yourself. That's right. After tasting tea this delicious, I can't wait to let everyone else try it. And because of that, we servants must be very familiar with the tastes of all sorts of foods. That's why sampling food whenever I can is part of my job description. Ho ho ho. It's a perk as well for our job. Do you understand? Yes. Everything is proceeding smoothly. Are there any problems with the tea? Oh, Genji-san, you must try some as well. Seeing as it's almost Halloween, I decided to make some pumpkin tea. Later, perhaps. The family will be arriving at the mansion very soon. It looks as though the children will be joining in. Yes, sir. The cups are ready to go as well. The ho 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 reminded me. So I've been playing Dragon Quest IV with a friend recently, I mentioned that. And there's this kind of bordering on useful feature, I guess, where you can have, like, the merchant character appraise any item in the game and give you, like, a rather decently lengthy description of it. Often with, like, a lot of fluff and maybe not even saying exactly what it does, but usually get, like, 5 to 10 lines. And I've got a friend who's been using ChatGPT for a lot of stuff lately in his daily life. I'm not talking about, like, oh, this is, like, one of those college people writing stuff. I mean, like, convenience things, like, I'm going to play through Pokemon Gen 2 sometime soon. planned me out like a route where like I could get through this with like his little trading with other games and where I can like find the rare Pokemon and stuff. Convenient stuff in his life. Planning and whatnot. So I told him like, here's the funny idea. Take a picture of something in your room, anything you want, you can choose, and ask ChatGPT to appraise it for you like Torneko, the merchant guy, would. And he did. And it did a pretty good job. It made it like 10 times longer than it should have. But it was funny, actually. I'm not going to read out the whole thing because it's painfully long. But he took a picture of a SNES controller. Yes, it knows Torneko well enough. And here's a couple things I'll quote. The buttons, they be color-coded like a proper merchant's spice rack. Green for Y, blue for X, red for A, and yellow for B. Easy on the eyes and quick on the fingers. Just the way I like me inventory sorted. Now I'd wager this butte comes from the Palalands. Oh yes, the colors give it away, they do. Not like them North American folks in the purpley gray ones. A rare variant? Even better. As for the value, rubs belly thoughtfully. If it's in fine working condition, I'd say. Anywhere from 800 to 1500 gold coins in me shop. More if you find a collector what's got a soft spot for classics. I'd have his box with a console. Ho, I might even push it to 3000 coins. So it was pretty great. I had him appraise my Sans doll. Which I think he appraised it a lot more. Yes, my friend specifically showed me the PS1 Western cover for Torneko the Last Hope. I'll put it in chat. Torneko the Last Hope. It is so bad. Yes, this came up less than a week ago, actually. So, very, very topical. Hold on, let me get this. Here. It's a classic. It's a bad classic. I've never seen a Dragon Quest slime frown like that. Truly, they're keeping the mascot on model there. Torneko, man, he doesn't look right there. You should never ever go 3D for this kind of cover. I bet the Japanese one looks good, right? I bet it's like proper 2D and like is on art style, right? Oh, right, they don't really put this kind of cover on Japanese Wikipedia. They have an allergy using images. I gotta go find it on Google. Okay, so we want... this one, I think? Yeah, right? Yeah. Well, look. It's actually Torneko. And it's got the smiling slime. It's got multiple smiling slimes, actually. And Torneko is kind of like freaking out and making a Dragon Ball face, but I mean, it's the same artist, so that's fine, I guess. Yeah, like, it fits. It doesn't look awful. I feel like the US art is going to actively scare people from buying off the game. It's one of those. You wouldn't even see the Dragon Quest slime and be like, oh yeah, a Dragon Warrior slime. I'm gonna buy this game, because Dragon Warrior didn't really, you know, Dragon Quest didn't really take off, of course. PS1 Sony of America had an anti-2D mandate. I guess they really wanted to sell the 3D, huh? I get that. It's stupid. I get it. That's a good point, yeah. Legends had the 3D box art too. I don't remember it being as bad as the Torneko box art, at least, but yeah, I'm sure it's not as good as the Japanese box art, which is common. Let's say it's common. At that moment, the kitchen's extension line started to ring. Genji, who was standing right beside it, swiftly picked up the receiver before the second ring. Shen and the others always thought Genji looked like a samurai when he did this. Understood. Take care when guiding them. After giving that short response, Genji set the receiver down. That was canon. The relatives will be here shortly. The children are with them. Shen and Kurosawa go to serve them. Kota, hurry up with that tea. Yes, sir. The family conference. It was the largest event of the year for the servants. They were all excited and determined to make it through together once again this year. Now, if this has like a Battler tale, I actually don't know. He might not even like do the Shannon Cannon thing for Angie. I guess we'll see. I don't really remember. Kurosama, I have led the relatives here. Oh, there you are. Were there any troubles on your trip here? Nii-san, you've been doing pretty well for yourself lately, haven't you? Isn't it about time you bought a private jet? Wahaha. After all, no one was in the plane but the family, as usual. I'm glad Angie-chan made it. I was so worried when I heard she was too sick to come. Thanks for your concern. She suddenly got all better this morning. My tummy ache went away. I rubbed my tummy clockwise. See, in all the other fragments, she rubs it counterclockwise, and I guess that makes it worse. Ooh, that's a magical ritual to heal tummy aches. Now, Maria, quiet down. Oh, is that Balor-kun? You've grown so big. It's been 6 years, hasn't it? You've grown splendidly. Well, I do keep getting bigger, at least. Can't really say that about his guts, though. I'm just happy knowing that he's still the same old Balor-kun. Balor may be bigger, but he's still Balor. This brat's always been terrified of falling off planes and boats and stuff. That must be Asuma-san's blood, right? When he was a kid and we went to theme parks, we always went on some of the wilder rides. That's probably what did it. Don't they have height restrictions for those? No, I don't mean that kind. You know those paddle boats and teacup rides, right? Looks like we took those a bit too rough back in the day. Took them too rough. So I guess they were in one of the ones where you can spin it yourself, and they spun it as hard as they could and freaked him out. I like those. You know, I didn't really go on roller coasters at all until a few years ago when I went down to Disney with my ex-wife, but they were pretty cool. We went on some really nice ones. I'd never been on, like, a proper one. Until, like, my late adult life. Late adult life? Or recent-ish adult life, I should say. You've always gone a bit overboard on rides like that, Rudolph Nissan. I see. Poor Balor-kun. Haha, poor Balor-kun indeed. Still, it's comforting in a way. Even after all this time, nothing says Balor-kun like a fear of riding things. Oni-chan isn't scared of riding things, he's just scared of falling off them. Fall. Ooh. Hey, stop running around. Maria, you're one of the big cousins now, right? Set a good example. Pardon me, I brought some tea for everyone. I decided to speak in a really deep voice just to make you think I was Genji. A pleasant aroma followed Shannon as she came into the room pushing a servant cart. Even Angie and Maria, who had been running around in circles, sat down obediently when they heard that drinks were here. Is a 6-year-old or a 9-year-old gonna like hot tea? I guess if it's really sweet pumpkin tea, maybe. I don't know. I'm not very familiar with tea. By the way, how's Dad doing? He should be down here soon. He's been rushing about all morning trying to choose a tie. You mean all that about choosing an attire suitable for the family head? Father's always been picky about ties, hasn't he? It's just something he has a passion for. Staying stylish is a good thing. Yeah, it's, here's some fine pumpkin tea for Mario with a side of dinosaur chicken nuggies. My favorite, ooh. And yeah, he always shows up wearing the same tie in the end. The family members burst out laughing. The sweet scent of Goda's specially made pumpkin tea spread throughout the parlor, and the calm atmosphere grew more cheery and excited. Look, Mama, it's a pumpkin cookie for Halloween. There it is, they got it with cookies. You can dip the cookies in the tea. Oh, that's right, the sweet scent is kabocha, isn't it? That's right. Today we have some special pumpkin flavored tea for you to try. Kabocha is just pumpkin, by the way, but it probably refers to like a special, you know, more Japanese oriented type of pumpkin. So that's probably why they left it like that. I don't know. Could be like a tea thing. It's funny because kabocha is pumpkin, but cha is also tea, so kabocha. Pumpkin tea. That isn't really how you say it, but it really is delicious, so I suggest you try some without sugar first. Nason, watch your sleeve. Wow, so kabocha tea really does exist. Goda-san really did his homework. Delicious. This is excellent. You can taste the kabocha's natural sweetness. Kabocha tea, huh? Still, kabocha always tastes best in tempura. Ooh, it's pumpkin, not kabocha. Oh, here we go. Yeah, pumpkin is different from kabocha. Thanks for educating me. This is pumpkin. Mario seemed to think the English word was more fitting for Halloween, but it looked like Angie thought kabocha and pumpkins were entirely different things. Everyone laughed, but Angie, not knowing why she was being laughed at, cocked her head to one side discontentedly. Just when it looked like she was about to get in a bad mood and start grumbling, Mario started teaching her a cookie game, and Angie... Cookie game? And Angie immediately became engrossed with that distraction. That's one way to make me utter those words. Then the sound of approaching footsteps drifted in from the hallway. When the relatives realized whose footsteps those must be, they straightened up. Those quick footsteps stopped for a moment just outside the parlor door, as though someone was taking a deep breath and sitting with a dramatic pause. Then the door exploded open as Kinzo yelled out loud, with Genji and Najo standing behind him. Happy Halloween! And trick or treat! Trick or treat! The cousin shouted it back. Please don't knock over my drinks, honey. The adults returned the greeting too, looking embarrassed and refusing to meet his gaze. Oh, Dad. Angie alone stood there with her mouth open, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Welcome, my grandchildren. If you don't give me a treat, I shall trick you. Go ahead, Maria. Happy Halloween, grandfather. I got you a really incredible one this year. You'll be surprised. Maria picked up a present that had been hidden behind a sofa. Come to think of it, all the relatives were now holding similar packages. Come on, Angie. You too. Give this to grandfather. Kide handed Angie a neatly wrapped present. Oh, Maria, you're always so thoughtful. Grandpa's so happy. As Kinzo took Maria's present, a smile broke out across his face, and he rubbed his cheek up against it. See, I love this Kinzo. I hope this is the real Kinzo. Let's keep in mind, most of the Kinzo we've seen in the games wasn't real. It was off-screen game board story Kinzo. The Kinzo we saw in episode 7, I believe, was all real. You know, like we saw his past. We saw Sayo meet him dressed as Beatrice. I'm pretty sure all that was real. You know, granted, obviously, he is canonically not alive at this point in history. But I would like to think that he was like this for real with his grandchildren in previous years. I hope so. Master, your dignity. You dropped something. Oh, that's right. You have pleased your grandfather greatly, my granddaughter. In return for the treat you have given me, I promise not to trick you at all this coming year. Now it's your turn, grandfather. If you don't give me a treat, I'll prank you. Indeed, I'm well aware. Genji. Here. Genji fished through something that looked like Santa Claus's sack and pulled out a present addressed to Maria, handing it over to Kinzo. Here you go, Maria. Here's a present from me. I'm warning you, it's so cute. Such a waste to give it up to you. Master, your dignity. This is a present from the Ushirame family head to Maria. It is a cute... an item worthy of the Ushirame family's dignity and grace. Take good care of it. Thank you, grandfather. I love you. Kiss, kiss. Whoa. Oh, Maria, my adorable granddaughter. Kiss, kiss. By this point, even Genji had to give up on Kinzo's dignity. Still, the dignity of the family head had lasted a full 10 seconds longer than usual this year. Happy Halloween, grandfather. This is from me. Happy Halloween. This one's mine. I hope you like it. I like that Halloween is like Christmas for them. Oh, George, Jessica, I must thank you once again this year. I'm so happy. With tears streaming down his face, Kinzo hugged George and Jessica. Oh, and Battler too. I'm so glad you've returned to the family. It's been lonely without you these 6 years. Well, anyway. Happy Halloween. Not sure if you'll like it, though. Don't worry, Battler. I know you have things you want to say, things you want to ask, but now is not the time. Grandfather, I am glad that you have returned to the Ishima family. It makes me feel happy. Slowly, Kinzo moved forward and hugged Battler. Battler drew back at first, but then he understood Kinzo's feelings and hugged him back. Angie watched the scene play out, shocked. Was Ushima Kinzo always this kind of person? Angie, you're up. Go on, give it to grandfather. Okay. Battleachi. Angie didn't have a clue what was going on. She took the present her mother had given her and walked forward timidly. Kinzo's face, which had looked so cheery a second ago, suddenly became stern as soon as Angie stepped forward. No, it didn't become stern. That expression was the one always worn by the Kinzo inside Angie's mind. This was Ushiramiya Kinzo, who was fickle, short-tempered, and always wore a stern expression on his face. This was the most terrifying person in the Ushiramiya family. It felt as though the world went suddenly quiet, and it only did it when I stepped forward. Why? Why only for me? But isn't this how it should be? Isn't this the Ushiramiya Kinzo I expect? The Ushiramiya Kinzo I understand? I was like a puppet carrying a tea tray. I looked forward, bewildered, with the present held out in front of me, and stopped in front of Kinzo. Without letting his expression change in the slightest, Kinzo slowly reached out and touched the present. Angie. In an instant, Angie was caught in a firm embrace, present and all. Kinzo's white beard rubbed against her cheeks. Grandpa is so happy. I'm so glad to be blessed with such lovely grandchildren. I feel happy, so happy the tears just won't stop. Master, your nose is running. That, and your dignity. Oh Genji, forgive me. As the old man blew his nose, he didn't look like he could possibly be anyone other than a kindly grandpa, overcome with tears at his grandchildren's gifts. Thank you, Angie. I heard that you chose to come even though you weren't feeling well at all. I'm so glad. Here, this is for you. He pressed a large gift box to Angie's chest. She finally realized that all of Kinzo's presents were wrapped differently and in boxes of different sizes. That's the curtains. Alright. That's my Switch controller. I need that later for Devil of Decline. I wonder what he got you, Angie. I hear that grandfather always personally chooses what he'll give each one of us. Pretty incredible with all these people. He picks them himself, every year. He does. What every year? He picks what himself? This bizarre ceremony happens every year. The cousins were all happily chattering about what their Halloween presents would be this year. Moria came up to Angie and suggested that they compare the weights of their presents, but for some reason, Angie just stared blankly. After that, the adults also handed their presents to Kinzo one by one, receiving a gift in return, along with considerate words about their health and questions about how they'd been doing recently. Ugh. Then, after watching to see that all exchanges had been completed, Goda appeared, and announced that lunch was ready. Ah, is it ready? Come, ladies and gentlemen, let us enjoy the splendid lunch that Goda has prepared for us. Quickly, to the dining hall! This way, everyone. Follow me. We will carry your presents to your rooms in the guest house. So, okay, so I guess in Battler's story, Shannon and Cannon are different people. Essentially, the Beatrice thing never happened. They're just regular-ass servants, as far as he's going to tell Angie. Please, feel free to leave them here as you leave for lunch. The relatives stood up, leaving their presents where they lay on the tables and sofas, and followed Kinzo out of the parlor. Only Angie remained standing there, stunned, as she clutched the present Kinzo had given her. I'll see what the presents are. I don't know. Goda's lunches had never betrayed expectations before. When Hideyoshi said that these meals were the only reason anyone ever came to these family conferences, everyone laughed and nodded. The delicious food caused conversations to erupt all over the room. You've gotten so big. How have you been lately? Pretty good. It was a fun meal with everyone asking each other about the latest and laughing together. The Yoshida family set up meals in a specific ranked seating order, so the adult siblings, the cousins, and the spouses all sat in groups. So conversations sprung up naturally. Angie had withdrawn slightly from the cousins' chat and was looking around the dining hall. What are Kinzo and the adult siblings doing? I wonder if Angie gets ranked above Battler because he left temporarily. I wonder if that penalizes him. Their conversation seemed to be peaceful and fun. Most of the time, the siblings were mothers or fathers of their own households. However, when they gathered together by themselves in front of Kinzo, that burden was lifted from their shoulders, and they became young and bright as though they'd gone back to being kids again. Rudolph, who was usually an easygoing father who nonetheless had a sense of dignity, became so bright and cheery in this group that it almost looked like there was another battler. Even Kinzo looked peaceful and relaxed. Even Rosa stopped abusing her daughter. He didn't say a word about money or the inheritance. In fact, he didn't even insult his children or call them incompetent. Wow, this is rare. He just looked like a happy old man, genuinely pleased to have his whole family together for the only time this year. The group of spouses was just as harmonious. The mothers kept bringing up problems with education and household matters, as well as family health issues. Hideyoshi and Nanjo happily joined in on their conversation. Oh, whose spouse is Nanjo? Oh, right, Kinzo. Yeah, right. He's Kinzo's. What about the cousins? There was no way such an enjoyable meal with such a fun group of friends could fail to be... Raucous? Raukau? Maria was in her element, showing off her knowledge of Halloween trivia. George and Jessica would nod in understanding, Bat would say something stupid, and Mario would laugh at him. If I wanted, I could easily join in on that conversation. It was like cheerful or jovial or something. I think I've seen it before, but I've definitely never said it out loud before. I'll try to read it. I could easily slip out of the conversation too. It was happiness, both fun and natural. It felt like waking up from a daydream to be greeted by the rays of the springtime sun. waking up at 11 p.m. to realize you've missed Dylan's Hina stream. According to the weather report, we can expect a big storm sometime tonight. It's supposed to be a typhoon. Looks like we'll be stuck here for more than one night again. I do not mind in the least. You may stay here as long as you wish. If it would mean seeing my adorable grandchildren's faces more, I would pray for rain every day. Give us a break. We do have work to get back to. Why don't you leave the island, Father? That way you could see your grandchildren whenever you wanted. True. Living on a remote island may have a sense of majesty, but haven't you had your fill of it? It's too noisy in the city. I much prefer a quiet island with no one on it but my family. I like it here. But on Akenjima, if something happens, it would take some time for a doctor to arrive. I agree. At your age, I think you should at least consider moving to Nijima. I am old now. I want to live in peace, surrounded only by my family. And I am satisfied. I have this island to make that dream of mine come true. Father. It seems I've gotten you all down. Ladies and gentlemen, this ends Goda's lunch. Grandchildren, it will probably be raining constantly starting tomorrow. Now is your last chance to see clear skies. Why not enjoy the flowers and then take a walk on the beach? That sounds good. Yeah, there, honey. Don't play with cords. No. No. Okay, everyone, let's go. Ooh, I want to see the flowers and walk on the beach. We can collect shells and collect glass, too. Well, there shouldn't be glass on this beach. Collect glass. That sounds a bit dangerous. Fragments of glass get washed by the waves and become round, beautiful gems which strip the shore. Oh, okay. Did you forget, Battler? Remember how we used to pick them up together? Reminds me of the time, one time ago, I was like, hey, there's like all these pretty rocks and it's to the side of the road I'm going to pick up and bring home. They're like rock salt that I think was there to like help the snow melt. So I threw them all back out. It's just rock salt. Oh, were those glass fragments? I always thought they were just pretty stones. Have you ever seen a glass gem, Angie? No? Then let's go. I'll show you. Let's go. But for the first to see them gets to keep them. I'm gonna get them all. Haha, in that case, I'm not gonna lose either. Let's see who can find the prettiest, biggest glass gem. Alright. At times like this, why not be a kid? I'm not gonna lose either. Then we'll head down to the beach. Indeed. Take it easy and enjoy your time together, grandchildren. The cousins rose from their seats and noisily left the dining hall. Maya grabbed Angie's hand and dragged it along. However, Angie's expression was vague and absent-minded, the opposite of Maria's full smile. She still has a tummy ache. What does it all mean? Well, it's written from Battler's perspective. Not perspective, but it's written by Battler, essentially. The cousins walked along the beach, playing in all kinds of ways. They searched for bits of glass polished by the waves to become small and gem-like. They caught up on news of each other's lives and joked around. They wrote words in the sand. They chased the receding waves and ran away from the coming ones. The cousins enjoyed the time they had to themselves. Get back here, Maria. You won't get off easy this time. Wahahaha. Yeah. No way, no way. You'll get hurt if you fall. Be careful, you two. Feels like the wind's gotten stronger. Maybe we should head back soon. You're right. I think the sky's getting cloudier too. That we could. Maria-chan. I think we should call it a day soon and head back to the guest house for the time being. Ooh, no way. I want to play more. Hey, don't ignore your cousin. Okay, that's all for now. Here, I'll give you my glass gem. Ooh, really? Thank you, Battler. Now I have the most, so I win. Ooh. Angie, are you okay? Yeah. What's wrong, Angie? You look a little down. She's just tired out. Come on, let's all head back together. Angie's expression probably did look tired. However, Battler alone thought he saw something else in it. What's wrong? Can you tell me? It's nothing. She said that, but something in her expression showed that she was unsatisfied for some reason. Since Angie didn't say what it was, and Battler couldn't think of anything, he was unable to guess anymore. So he squeezed her small hand, silently letting her know that she could tell him whenever she was ready. Even though it had seemed like such a bright sunny day a second ago, the sky turned gray and the wind started to feel more annoying than pleasant. If they waited around, they would probably see scattered raindrops as well soon. I guess it'll be raining the whole time from now on. What a pain. Still, even though it didn't last long, it was fun to be a kid again. I can't wait to show Mama this glass gem. I'm gonna tell her I won. Even though you only won because I gave you mine. Ooh, I got it, so it's mine. So I won. Ooh. Angie walked distractedly, pulled along by her brother. George and the others thought that she had probably woken up too early and was tired, so they didn't try to talk to her much. As they reached the end of the forested path, the rose garden lay before them. They could see strong winds making the rose bushes wave. Mama, look! I won! Moya ran forward, waving her hands about and yelling. It looked as though Rosa was waving to them from the front of the guest house. I'm gonna head back to my room for a sec. I'll meet you in the cousin room right after. Okay, got it. See you later then. Jessica ran off in the direction of the mansion. George turned around and was suggesting that they had better get going too. However, when he saw Angie standing still with a crabby look on her face, he realized that something might have put her into a bad mood. Is everything okay? Yeah, she's fine. Sorry, but would you mind going on ahead of us? Sure, got it. See you later. George headed for the guest house. The only ones left in the rose garden were Balor, who was waving at George, and Angie, who was still staring at the ground and holding Balor's hand. I know where Moria went. For the past few minutes, he had repeatedly asked Angie what was wrong. He realized that this wasn't anything like a stomachache or something obvious that had made her grumpy. However, young girls sometimes get upset for reasons that only they can understand. Balor knew this, so he didn't rush her in any way, and continued to gaze around the beautiful rose garden, holding her hand. Oni-chan, what is it? Where are we? She asked the question as though she was talking about something on the other side of the silver screen. Though Balor understood what the question meant, he played dumb. Where are we? We're on Rokenjima, right? You're wrong. No, I'm not. How is this Rokenjima? It's the Rokenjima of October 4th, 1986. The Rokenjima you've wanted to see for so long. That's a lie. Why do you say that? This is totally fake. Angie wrenched her hand from her brother's grip. That hand had a rose and sent flower petals flying. I don't lie. How is this supposed to be the truth? Angie spat those words out. However, Balor's expression remained calm and composed. What don't you like about it? Yoshida Miyakinzo, for example. He wasn't anything like that, right? No grandfather wouldn't smile when he's been reunited with his grandchildren after a long time. Yoshida Miyakinzo wasn't that kind of person. Yoshida Miyakinzo was strict, discontented, short-tempered, and quick to anger. So you do understand. What was all that back there? How was that supposed to be Yoshida Miyakinzo? Halloween? Exchanging presents? What the hell was that? That's nothing like Yoshida Miyakinzo. This is nothing like Rokenjima. Don't you remember, Angie? Remember what? We did that every year, didn't we? Every year? That? Well, I guess it's no surprise. The last time you went to a family conference, you were less than 6 years old. So it's only natural that you wouldn't remember. It's only natural that I don't remember. Angie understood what her brother was trying to say. However, she couldn't accept it. It's true that Yoshida Miyakinzo was a rigid man. When he was younger, he really was strict with his kids, apparently. And, well, it's probably not wrong to say that it was pretty traumatic for Dad and the others, and that they're still a bit scared of him. The grand tale of how Kinzo restored the Yoshida family was more than enough to paint him as a rigid, terrifying man. Furthermore, Kinzo was an investor. All the legends and tales that made him seem more mysterious had probably worked in his business's favor. At times, Kinzo may even have acted out this part people expected, endeavoring to make his presence all the more overpowering. That's why the world at large spoke of Yoshida Miyakinzo as a strict, short-tempered man. And they even thought of him as a fickle, bold, incomprehensible eccentric. But that was just the face grandfather showed to the world. That's not how he acted in private, alone with his family. Are you saying that weeping old man who doted on his grandchildren is the real Yoshida Miyakinzo? He must have played with you and patted your head many times. Do you really not remember? Stuff like that might have happened once or twice, but that must have been a mere whim of his. My parents told me all the time, Grandfather's a terrifying person, so make sure you act properly. They always said that he's very scary, so take care. You say that, but you were 5 when your parents were telling you that. So, how much of it was true? Like, how... It does feel like gaslighting in a sense, but how much of, like, her false impression of Kinzo might come from Ava? You know, after she adopted Angie. And that means he was a scary person. When you were little, you would always accept whatever your parents said and take it too seriously. To put it nicely, you were obedient. But to put it bluntly, you were a kid with an overactive imagination. Dad and the others were just trying to make you realize how important it was to be polite. I saw it, though. I knew about it. I knew that Yoshida Kinzo was a scary person. That and, like she's saying, she did hear more about Kinzo than she saw him, you know. Sees him once a year, hears about him every couple months or weeks, and probably a lot before the conference. Her parents probably did warn her about Kinzo. So if she does have memories of that time, might be kind of mixed up. I've even seen him yelling in anger. I'll never forget it. Well, like you saw just now, grandfather could be a bit abrupt at times. He might just have been trying to surprise you. Or it might have slipped out when he was having a serious discussion with his kids. And do you think I just got scared for no reason? And got the wrong idea? If you were like 5 years old, yeah. Easily. It's really easy to get traumatized by like someone suddenly yelling at you at that age. Gives the totally wrong impression. That can't be true. I mean, I still remember it. I know I saw Ushimi Kinzo yelling and being scary. Mom and Dad were terrified too, so I know I'm right. The impression you had of grandfather when you were young remained with you, and that impression grew inside you as you grew up. How many times did Angie see Kinzo in her life? How old was she the last time she saw him? Angie, who got sick easily when under pressure, couldn't have gone to Rakenjima often. And since she was absent for the family conference when she was 6, her last memories of him must have come from when she was just 5 years old. But even you haven't seen Ushimi Kinzo for 6 years. That's right. But when I finally came back after 6 years, I saw that grandfather hadn't changed in the slightest. Well, that's not canonically true. But sure. Kinzo was fickle, so you could never understand what he was thinking. And he was an eccentric with a creepy love for the occult, and it's true that he had a lot of love for the occult. Yeah, it was a bit of a strange hobby for him to get into in his final years. I'll admit that his hobby of collecting strange objects to scare his grandchildren and laugh at them wasn't exactly praiseworthy. But Mario is also just as into the occult. So, be scared of Mario too, I guess. Even Battler had been pranked by Kinzo in the past. He'd do things like showing off an attached case with 7 strange stakes in it, and say something about how they were once used in the Middle Ages to gouge the hearts of victims in a witch's ceremony. Don't show that to the kids. Don't show that to Mario and Angie. When Kinzo did things like that, it was pretty scary, but looking back on it now, they really were childish pranks. Grandfather only scared his grandchildren because he wanted to joke around with them. I'd be willing to bet that grandfather pulled a prank like that on you too. It's no surprise that, young as you were, you let that scare you and convince you that grandfather was a strange, terrifying person. I don't know what you're talking about, Oni-chan. Angie bit her lower lip and stared at the ground. She said she didn't understand, but in truth, she understood perfectly, and was refusing to accept it. Remember how we traded Halloween presents in the parlor just now? What was that all about? You and a family never did anything that's sentimental. It's almost as though you don't remember it at all. You're saying I got presents once too? I don't remember anything like that. That could never happen. Do you really think that grandfather, a man who lived the occult and Western traditions, wouldn't celebrate Halloween? Grandfather's Happy Halloween was pretty much the standard greeting at our family conferences. He must have said it to you too. Youth can be so cruel. Even though grandfather put all his heart into choosing those presents, it looks like your heart didn't remember anything. Are you saying that I was just too young to remember? And that was the truth of October 4th? On that day, just like 6 years before, grandfather entered the parlor with a cry of Happy Halloween. Say it in red. Then he and I traded presents, as he shed tears over a long-awaited reunion after a 6-year gap. Grandfather seemed so sad that Angie wasn't able to come, so he gave Kitty a set of present, telling her to make sure that Angie got it. Come on, Emily. Come on, honey. I never heard anything about a present like that. Mom never gave it to me. True, she never had the chance. I don't believe it. I won't believe that was Ushimi to Kinzo. Then what about the family conference itself? Wasn't there a tense argument over the distribution of the inheritance? That's probably why they told the kids to go play down at the shore. All the adult siblings were in money trouble. They needed large sums of money right now. That's why they all longed for Kinzo's inheritance money. Angie, where did you hear that from? Ava? What do you mean where? It's the truth, isn't it? Do you think Dad would talk to you about financial difficulties with his company when you were that age? And not just Dad. Even if Uncle Kraus, Aunt Ava, and Aunt Rosa were in money trouble and wanted Kinzo's inheritance money, do you really think they talk about it in front of you? But it's true, isn't it? In the end, it was true. Angie's words were not mistaken. Not only Rudolph, but even Kraus, Hideyoshi, and Rosa had companies in money trouble. People started talking about the Rakenjima explosion accident as though it was some sort of conspiracy, and a mystery imagined by the public covered the island. Weekly magazines and television shows researched the circumstances of Kinzo's children at the time. And in the future, where Angie lived, that research had been made public. I don't know how they don't have photos of, like, their Halloween family get-togethers. Maybe Ava just didn't let Angie ever have any of them. You learned about all that after 1986. But it's a fact, isn't it? There's no difference between facts and truth. Does that prove that the inheritance created a strained atmosphere between the relatives on Wakanjima? I guess that might fit with your memory of your parents telling you repeatedly to be extra polite at family conference. Are you saying that what I know about Wakanjima, what I know about the Yoshidame family, is wrong? You're the one who's wrong, Oni-chan. There's no way something like that could be possible. I won't accept that that was Yoshidame Akinzo. I could never accept that. So you don't believe, Angie? That's right, I don't believe. I don't understand why you're showing me something like this. After all, this is your game. No, your game board, isn't it? First it was Beato and Burn. One witch after another sneered at my fate, trying to make me surrender in their games. But I want the truth. Witch illusions won't work on me. Now I get it, you damn witches. So you've sent Oni-chan as a final assassin to finish me off. You're right. This is my game. So of course this is my tale, and I'm the one making it. That's why I'm able to add in what-if situations, like what would happen if you came to the island too. See? You made this tale. It's all a pack of lies, a fiction you created. You're right. This is all a fiction I created. See? You've admitted it. You have, haven't you? Just like I thought, this is all a lie you made. Why are you lying to me? Why won't you tell me the truth? Because there's something I need you to understand. Something more important than the truth. Something more important than the truth? What the hell are you talking about? Certain words coming from a 6-year-old. The purpose of my game is to make you understand that. Just as Beato's games were made to make Battler believe in witches, Battler's game was made to show Angie something that was more important than the truth. Games never bring about their intended ends by force. After all, Beato's game could never be one for all eternity, unless Battler acknowledged witches on his own. Battler's game was the same. Battler couldn't win in this game unless Angie acknowledged it herself. So Battler had advanced his game just as Beato had done in the past. To believe it or not, to accept it or not. The decision lay solely in the hands of the opponent. And so, Battler was trying to enshroud Angie with his own illusion. I finally get it. This is a game between me and you, Oni-chan. Angie, I'm not trying to challenge you to a game. No, this is a game. I made a wish, hoping to learn the truth of October 4th, 1986. And so, you invited me to this game, saying that you showed me the truth. And now you're showing me this strange illusion, trying to make me believe that it's the truth. Well, too bad. I'm already used to dealing with witches. I can totally tell that you're trying to use that kind face of yours to trick me. You're gaslighting me, just like the witches did. The big brother realized that no words of his would have any effect on his enraged little sister. So he just quietly listened to Angie's words. But even so, Angie was dissatisfied. I've had more than enough of this stupid farce. If you don't plan on telling me the truth, then end it all now. I'll find my own truth for myself. I won't rely on you. That's right. There never was anyone I could rely on anyway. I've always been alone. Is there even a truth that Angie would accept? Sorry. I won't let you leave this game. Ah, that's right. Once the game master admits defeat, the game never ends, right? That isn't what I meant. I'm just telling you to stay quiet and listen. Oh, sure. I'll just stay quiet then. Even if a player isn't around, the pieces just move by themselves and the game moves forward. Isn't that how it works? That's right. A player can step back and become an observer for a while if they want, and they can return and join in whenever they want to. Then I'll do that. This is an endurance contest. It'll keep on going until you stop trying to cover up the truth. Something more important than the truth? I don't get it. How could anything like that exist? It does, Angie. Whether my tale is the truth or not, the fact remains that you lost something precious on this island. Dad, Mom, and you, Oni-chan. I lost my family, everything that mattered to me. She spat out those words as though no further questioning would do any good, and looked away. Even as you watched this, Battler's expression remained gentle. Just keep going however you like. Later, Oni-chan. At least make sure you watch the tale. Even just listening is enough. If I feel like it. Later. Angie's eyes closed. Clouded. My eyes clearly clouded. Then a particularly strong gust of wind blew by, sending her hair flying. Her wig went flying off her head. The wind must have been carrying some dust with it. Angie's nose twitched, and she sneezed loudly. Sneeze counter. Oni-chan? What is it? How long are we gonna stand here? The weather's all weird. Let's go back to the guest house. Angie's eyes weren't cloudy anymore. However, the tone and atmosphere about those eyes seemed somehow different from before. She's on autopilot now. She used the click remote. In a manner typical of young girls, Angie signaled that she was too bored and wanted to go do something. This Angie was clearly a 6-year-old Angie. Good point. Then why don't you head back to the guest house now? I'm going to stay here. Why? It'll start raining soon. It won't be long now, so I'll wait here a little longer. You're waiting here? Who are you waiting for? Huh? Secret date with Beatrice. Then, to Angie's eyes, it looked as though the strong winds were carrying flakes of gold along with them. No, she had definitely seen something, but she wasn't able to describe what she had seen, so to her it seemed like flakes of gold dancing on the wind. So here you are. I've been waiting a while now. It was as though he was talking to the wind. Hey, birth of the witch! Battler spoke to the empty rose garden. That can't be right. After all, it was clear from his words that he was talking to someone right in front of him. So Angie thought it must be someone that she alone couldn't see, and she rubbed her eyes. Then, when she opened her eyes wide, another large gust of wind blew past her. She shut her eyes immediately, and when she timidly opened them, from the other end of the rose garden, yes, from the path that led up from the harbor, a person appeared. To Angie, it looked as though she had appeared along with a cloud of gold flakes carried by the wind. You're late, Beato. Am I? I'd call it early. You should ride in the boat with us every now and then. You mean grasp the handrail and scream alongside you? Yeah, sure, let's scream. Fall, fall. I see, how interesting. Yes, I suppose I did arrive too late. Yeah, this is one of my favorite songs from the entirety of Umineko. The pair casually walked up to each other and hugged. It looked like a pair of friends being reunited after several years. If Angie hadn't stopped controlling her piece, she would be, like, screaming right now, like, what the hell is this? You're not real. Angie, surprised by this unfamiliar woman, looked for somewhere to hide. She's probably, like, wincing while watching. She's like, really? Really, Battler? You're gonna do this? However, her eyes met Beato's, and she was unable to escape. I like to think she's taking a bathroom break right now, and she is not actually watching the game. Oh, and you must be Angie. She was shocked to hear this unfamiliar woman suddenly use her name. Look, even she can be so cute when she's 6 years old. Oni-chan, who is this person? A friend of mine. A friend? How can you say that? Oni-chan's friend? This is Beatrice. You've heard from grandfather, haven't you? About the Golden Witch who gave the Ishin family its gold? Haven't I heard that before? The Golden Witch. Now I remember. That was the scary witch who would snatch you up and carry you off into the forest if you didn't listen to your parents or stayed up too late in Rakenjima. I also had Torneko appraise my Beatrice portrait. Mom said that on rainy nights, if you look out the window at the dark forest, you might see the witch looking back at you and get snatched away. Which must mean that I'm supposed to be wandering about in the cold rain, looking into each window to find kids staying up too late? How pathetic that would be. Haha, good point. Angie, your parents just made this story up to get you to go to bed on time. Beatrice doesn't do stuff like that. Very well, allow me to introduce myself. I am Beatrice, the Golden Witch. Or her grandchild, at least. Grandchild? That grandchild part's a bit of a killjoy. Well, it's true, isn't it? The person that grandfather got the gold from and called the Golden Witch was your grandmother, right? I guess. The grandchild of the Golden Witch, ain't I? Yeah, can't I get a better title than that? Is this person a witch? Yep, she is. She's a guest who's been invited to the family conference today. She isn't a scary witch? She's not gonna take me away into the forest? Damn Rudolph and Kyrie. Just what do they think they're telling this kid about me? I don't do things like that. I'll lodge a firm protest later. Audible pout. She looked like a fiercely emotional person, but that wasn't at all what Angie had expected the creepy Golden Witch to be like. She was very loud, overreacting to everything. Nothing at all like the witch Marione-chan had talked about, who had lived for 1,000 years and had various servants from the demon world. She looked, well, like an energetic young woman, the kind Angie's mom might have gotten along great with. Her brother and the witch talked together happily like a pair of close friends. Dogs tend not to trust people they meet for the first time. However, people say that they calm down once they see that their owner is on good terms with a stranger. Surely similar to this was going on in Angie's heart. Okay. Compare 6-year-old to a dog. Angie kept staring at this pushy, temperamental woman who called herself a witch, as she chatted happily with her brother. Angie's jealous. What's this key for? Beata noticed the gold key hanging from Angie's neck. Angie automatically and defensively grasped at it. That's Angie's precious key. After hearing these vague words, the witch stared blankly for a second. But almost immediately, she seemed to understand what he meant. I see. Is that how it is? I thought it'd be easier to understand if I made it clear what she's supposed to do. Fear not, Angie. No one's going to steal your precious key. Are you sure? Of course. That key belongs to you, and the choice is yours. That one and the rest of us are merely signposts to guide you on your path. When her brother gave her the key, he had said that it was very important, so she had to take good care of it. Angie didn't have a clue what the key was for, but it looked like Beato did. However, just like her brother had done earlier, Beato only spoke in riddles. This irritated Angie. But for the time being, the Golden Witch said that she didn't intend to steal the key, so Angie calmed down a little. Do you know what this key is used for? But of course. However, I cannot tell you. Why not? Because you must decide how to use that key for yourself. Go try it on every door on the island. The witch said the same thing as my brother, that if I were a kid, I would totally do that. I would just go feel like there must be a door with treasure behind it or something like that. There's a door and there's like a Nintendo Switch behind it if I find the right door. And I would just try all the doors on the island. The witch said the same thing as my brother. The pair nodded to each other, but it was all Greek to me. It felt like someone had laid out a riddle that everyone knew but me, and everyone was making fun of me. You'll know soon enough. Don't waste time thinking about it. Angie held the key tightly. Even if she didn't understand what it meant, it was her own key, and her big brother had told her to take good care of it. With her youthful suspicion, she was scared that the witch might ask her to hand it over, saying that she'd teach her how to use it. Of course, her thoughts showed up clearly in her face. The witch couldn't help but laugh at that honest expression. Fear not. It is impossible for anyone to steal the key from you. No one can steal it? You might say that it has been imbued with magic to make it so. At any rate, fear not. Neither I, nor Bauer, nor anyone else on this island can steal that key from you. Really? Yeah, really. The magic won't let them. The key was hanging around her neck like an ordinary necklace. Angie could take it off right now if she wanted, and if an adult tried to use force, it seemed like it would be easy for them to take it away. However, both her brother and the witch said that it was protected by a magic that would stop anyone from stealing it. Does magic really exist? Even the 6-year-old Angie knew about the word magic. However, she also realized that real magic didn't exist, and that certain kinds of magic tricks were sometimes called magic. However, her brother and the witch were talking about magic itself. Yeah, magic exists. Really? Maria spoke of me often, did she not? So now Battler is on the side of magic. Interesting. She says that witches exist, and she often tells you that magic exists, correct? True, Maria had talked about that many times. When they were just playing, Angie had believed her, more or less. However, Angie was, in some ways, sharp for her age, and when she heard Maria talking happily about magic, she sometimes thought that such a thing couldn't really exist. Then, show me. Show me magic, or I won't believe you. Hold up a sec. Beatha just arrived on the island, and she hasn't even gone to say hi to everyone at the mansion yet. It has the same vibes of when someone in my elementary school class said that they knew how to go Super Saiyan. I didn't believe them because they couldn't show me. Bauer spoke as though he was trying to smooth something over. When she heard that, Angie became sure that magic didn't exist after all. Magic is just a bunch of lies. I know. Hey, stop that. You'll hurt Beato's feelings. No, it's no problem. Anyone would say that upon meeting a witch. I mean, when I was 6, I definitely still believed in magic. That was probably still the kind of age where I got quarters from the Tooth Fairy, you know? I mean, okay, I think I probably knew that it was my parents. But I went along with it. I don't know. Yeah, I still believe in magic at that age. For sure. I would ignore a provocation from such a small child, but she is your little sister after all. Why don't we give her a special showing? What about the Tooth Fairy myth? I don't know. It's probably been around for a few hundred years at least, right? Maybe a couple hundred? There's probably a Wikipedia thing on it. Are you sure? Of course I am. Watch carefully, Angie. Okay. Okay. Though Angie had challenged the witch, now that she was about to be shown magic, she looked a bit hesitant. She gulped, then stared up at the witch's face. The witch held out her left hand, bringing it close to Angie's face. Then she slowly spread her fingers. Angie, thinking that she was about to be turned into a frog, shrank back. However, after waiting a while and grinding her teeth, she realized that nothing was happening. So the part of her that had been scared began to get angry. Nothing's happening. Don't jump to conclusions. I haven't used magic yet. See, look carefully at my palm. I'm not hiding anything, correct? She's gonna delete the cord behind the ear. Oh, so that's what she's doing. Now that she finally understood, Angie checked both sides of the witch's hand. Yeah, there's nothing there. Watch closely. I'll make a fist, and then stretch out my index finger. She stretched out her index finger and held it right in front of Angie's eyes. Angie, thinking that she'd lose the game if she took a step back, stood her ground and concentrated on the fingertip. Watch the tip of my finger closely. Ready? It'll be fast. The witch rapidly lifted her index finger high into the air, pointing at the heavens, making a Gurren Lagann pose. Just as Angie looked up to see the finger raised high, it swung down as though trying to dodge her gaze. In that manner, up, down, left, right, then left again. Beato did the Konami code with her finger. That seems like something Beatrice would do. Angie, feeling as though she'd lose if she couldn't keep up with the fingertip, swung her face this way and that, looking serious. Even though she was very young, Angie had hated to lose. She would take even the most trivial game seriously, determined not to lose to the adults. The witch's hand moved faster and faster. Angie didn't lose track of it. Then the high pointing finger was swung down all of a sudden, the index finger curled up again, and the hand was held in a simple fist. Could it be that something was going to come out of that hand? Angie, who had suspected that this might happen, had followed the finger very closely. There was no way that once empty hand could have grabbed anything. Ready? I'm going to open my hand. The witch slowly opened her right fist, and there... What? How? How, Oni-chan? The witch gave the cutely wrapped candy to Angie as a present. Angie took it and desperately searched for some kind of trick on it, but it was just an everyday, ordinary candy. How? That was a trick, wasn't it, Oni-chan? Oni-chan? I would definitely be more afraid of Erica in an argument. Nope, that was magic. You were watching the whole time, weren't you? Since I was watching the whole time, how did it happen? I mean, they're both certainly petty, but Erica definitely has more means to win an argument. She's definitely smarter when it comes to, like, logical reasoning. Angie just kind of gives up and sulks, I feel. How did it happen? Angie didn't like it, but she wasn't able to see how that could have been anything other than magic. As the little sister furrowed her brow and bit her lower lip, her brother gently told her again that it was magic. It's about time for me to head to the mansion to pay her my respects. You should come along, Battler. I'll suffocate if I have to go alone. You sure? Then I'll join you. What about you, Angie? Will you go back to the guest house? I want to stay with you, Oni-chan. She still couldn't accept it. However, could it really be? She still looked grumpy. Yeah, see, the thing is, Angie is the child in this case. So you have to, like, reverse the roles, and Erica would, like, be the one shutting down a child, not the child trying to shut down the adult. So it's totally opposite, actually. Don't get me wrong, it makes Erica an entertaining character. She's like one of those characters that you like just because you hate them so much. You like them just because they're so despicable. So it's mixed feelings on her. A scene with Erica is almost always going to be a really entertaining, good scene. Just because she goes to such extremes. Then let us go. Yeah, exactly. I hate her so much I need her in every scene. It's exactly like that. Episode 5 is my favorite episode after doing the reread. It used to be 6, but 5 is definitely better for me in retrospect, I think. The first time around, I just thought that the whole concept of the logic error was really cool. But I feel like the way it was actually handled in practice didn't really live up to how I remembered it. And episode 5 had a lot more hype moments. The Golden Witch returns. The Golden Witch's grandchild returns, you mean. We really need to do something about that name. The big brother and the witch really did seem close. With kindred spirits like a pair of comedians, they started walking. Angie held on to the corner of her brother's sleeve, trying to make sure he didn't forget about her. So we have Beatrice in the story. Let me check and see if she's in the bios by chance. We've never had this many people on Rakenjima before. Of course, it also depends on how many people you count Beatrice as. Let's see. She's just on this screen. She fills this one gap that we have always had here. Beatrice, the Golden Witch who has lived for 1,000 years. She has surpassed the limits of humans, and, like demons, will sometimes appear in response to the summons made by humans to offer her power in exchange for a price. She has been called here for a ceremony involving the return of a vast amount of gold, which the Ushuna family received from her grandmother. Her countryman no longer has any need for the old arguments and tragedies. Still empty. No one on the magic page. Okay, I will do one more scene or so. Or we switch over to DoD. The VIP room was filled with a sweet smell of pumpkin tea, and packed with smiles and laughter. Ah ha ha ha, simply splendid. I'm glad to see you in such high spirits. I could say the same thing for you. What idiot said you're reaching your last years? I'll just borrow a bit of cheer from you. Once I return to my study, I will be little more than a withering, senile old man. Enough with your lies. Give it up and swear that you'll be living large until you're 100. Same here. I haven't seen you for 6 years, but I was surprised to see how little you changed. Haha, you little brat. So it seems you've learned flattery during these past 6 years. Sorry to disappoint you, but you're hardly a fair judge in the matter. I've grown quite old indeed. I'll bet 1,000 yen that Kinzo's still doing great when he turns 100. That's not much. Even back in those times, I'm sure that's not much, even with inflation. In these days, that's like $10. Yeah, me too. Grandfather won't be any different when he's 100. Wahaha, don't think you'll get any more presents for complimenting me. Kinzo laughed cheerily. Beato, who sat next to Battler, was also laughing merrily. Angie stood all alone by the window, staring at the others and trying to figure out what sort of relationship the witch of the portrait and her grandfather had. There was a knock on the door. That's complicated. Maybe don't tell Angie about all that. Is that you, Genji? Come in. Or the intrusion. Cross-sama and Natsuyu-sama are here. Father. Oh, and Battler-kun's here too. It has been some time, Beatrice-san. Has there been any news? I'm just the way I used to be. Come on, have a seat. And Angie, why are you standing by the window like that? Come over here and sit down. Angie, come over here. I'll just watch from here. Angie grasped the candy she had gotten from Beato tightly, and with a gaze that was still wary, she continued to stare. Genji offered her a chair, but Angie just shook her head. Let her do as she pleases. Come, Kraus, Nazi, and have a seat as well. Is it something important? I guess Angie and I should leave. Hey, if you leave, who's going to back me up here? Kinzo, you don't mind if Battler stays, do you? I have nothing to hide. I care not. However, he had called Kraus and Natsu to the VIP room to meet Beatrice, the Golden Witch. It was hard to imagine that Kinzo wanted to have a casual conversation. And Kinzo said he didn't mind. After Kinzo said he didn't mind, Beato also asked Battler to stay, so he decided to do so. In order to avoid getting in the way of their conversation, Battler stood up from the sofa and walked over to Angie's window. When the big brother finally came back to Angie, she clung to his waist as though determined not to let him go away again. Oh, I see. That must be why Angie doesn't like me. Huh? What do you mean? Angie doesn't dislike you, does she? You really don't understand women, Battler. Battler smiled at Angie, but the latter turned to look the other way. Even a young woman is a woman nonetheless. When Beato stopped laughing, the conversation switched gears. Why on earth did Kinzo summon Kraus and Natsu to the VIP room, and what was he going to talk about? Battler, you didn't read the character bio. Everyone fell automatically silent. Golden Witch Beatrice. Each and every day, I remember the debt the Ushimita family owes from when it was saved from the brink of destruction. Yeah, you'd better thank me. Well, it's actually your grandmother he's thanking. Shut up, you. No, it comes to the same thing. All of that gold has been lent to the Ushimita family for 3 generations, and without cost. We truly cannot be grateful enough. Gold bars are the same as bricks to me. I had nowhere else to put them, so it was a relief to have Kinzo hold on to them. Whoa, I'd like to say that just once before I die. Is the Golden Witch a rich person? Well, yeah. After all, she just went and lent grandfather 10 sons of gold. Precisely. I've been borrowing it for several decades, always promising to return it someday. It is a debt I will never be able to fully repay. The head family has never forgotten its gratitude. Isn't that right, dear? Of course. If the Beatrices hadn't kindly lent it to us for 3 generations, the Ushimita family would have fallen long ago. Even someone as shrewd as father couldn't have done anything without funds to start with. But now, my money is making money, and the gold that made up my original funds can sleep in peace. Kraus, do you know what I am about to say? Since the moment Kraus had been summoned here, he had guessed what Kinzo was hinting at now. All things borrowed must be returned someday. That day had finally come. Yes, I understand, father. Beatrice, I do not have many years ahead of me. In fact, this may be the last family conference that we will attend together. How faint-hearted you sound. You must be joking. Beato alone laughed. She looked at Battler, so he laughed along with her, but Kinzo and the others remained silent. Apparently, there existed some major concerns about Kinzo's health. Of course, I do not intend to die as soon as next year. However, I don't believe I can make any certain promises about meeting you again. I never make promises I cannot keep. If you say it so proudly like that, I am in no position to disagree. Are you serious about this? Beatrice, I want to make amends, and I must do it while I am still in high spirits. For that reason, I made a decision today. What's grandfather talking about? Quiet. Grandfather is about to talk about something very important. By now, even Battler understood what Kinzo was about to propose. Beato probably realized it too. At one time, the Ushimura family had ruled the skies like an eagle before being crushed by the Great Kanto earthquake. The eagle had one of its wings torn off, and it crawled in the mud on the point of death. Then they were saved by the Golden Witch's golden miracle. Under the Golden Witch's protection, the eagle had nursed its wounds for many years, and now, finally, it was time for the eagle to leave the nest the witch had provided. I will return all the gold that your grandmother lent me. Kraus, you have no objections, correct? That gold did not belong to the Ushimura family in the first place. Of course, I have no objections whatsoever. Are you sure, Kraus? You're an investor, aren't you? You could always do it with more money, right? Didn't you want Kinzo to hand the gold over to you? Yes, now that you mention it, it's hard to deny what you say. However, the contract was always between you and father, and the gold was yours to begin with. My husband is the successor, after all. Just as father rebuilt the family in one generation, I'm sure my husband will make the family thrive in his. And this is something the two of us will do together. Well said. Yes, that's the spirit. Could it be that even, like, Kraus, Atsuhi, and all the parents were made to sound evil to Angie from Ava's point of view? Hard to imagine Kraus doing this after all the previous games, where we've seen him be a bit greedier. What do we even believe? So letting go of 10 tons of gold leaves you with no regrets? I must say, that is quite impressive. What can a witch do against an opponent who cannot be swayed by the gold magic? I will return the gold to you, but the Ushimura family will always be supremely indebted to Beatrice, the Golden Witch. They would return the gold once lent by the Golden Witch. It was both simple and clear. However, the expression worn by the Golden Witch herself was slightly lonely, and she couldn't understand why this was. After all, if you're returning it, I cannot simply say, I don't want it, take it back. Ah well. Beato rose from the sofa. Then she walked up to the window and looked down at the rose garden waving in the wind. Kraus, I've also decided to present you and the others with my inheritance while I still live. But, father, when I die, you will not only be busy with the funeral, but I imagine that you will have Ava and the others at your throats over the inheritance issue. No faith in Ava. Ava's the real villain here. If all is divided now, the funeral will be less trying for you. Kraus, write this down. And Genji, please be our secretary. I will now lay out the distribution of my assets. Kinzo immediately began explaining how the inheritance would be split up. Battler, realizing that he should be listening in on this conversation, walked over to where Beato was loitering by the window. Hey, witch person. If you've got too much gold in your hands, I'd be happy to lighten the load. Gold would be more useful if you turned it into firewood and used it to cook a stew. What's the matter? You're looking a bit bored. So this day has finally come. I do feel a bit lonely. You do? My magic revived the Ushimura family and created Aokengima. And now, it seems the Ushimura family no longer has any need for the power of my gold. It has taken flight, leaving the nest of my magic behind. True. That's how it's turned out. I've called Aokengima the Witch's Island. My island. Yeah. And now, Aokengima is returning the gold to me. The day has come for Aokengima to awaken from my magic. That's true. I knew that this would be the last game. However, now that we've reached this point, even in a manner such as this, it's surprisingly painful. You're the type of person who looks totally carefree, but is actually full of lingering attachments and regrets. The cool and obstinate ones are usually the quickest to grow attached, and then to feel lonely. That's right. That's the kind of person you are. It was a game for you and me. It was fun. A great game you polished to perfection during those 6 years. I was liking it to eternal torture for the both of us. Eternity is happiest when you can still believe that it's eternal, but all things must end, and we have to be aware of that. So we must not avert our eyes. Just as the sun always rises, there's no sun that doesn't set. Of course, Angie didn't have the slightest idea what her brother and the witch were talking about. However, even as young as she was, she could feel that the pair had spent an incredibly long time together, and that they understood each other so well that they might as well be a married couple. Then, Beato noticed her reaction. Angie, at one point, the two of us wove games for each other. However, that time is now over. This game has been made, not for our sake, but for yours. They were speaking in riddles again. Grasping the key that hung by her chest, Angie looked at her brother's face. We need to show you the contents of the cat box of this day. That key I gave you is for opening it. What do you mean by cat box? He means this day. With the miracle of magic, I brought you to the day you wanted to reach so much. You must continue telling the story of this day as the final witch. Does that mean that I mustn't remain here? Angie's tone was slightly tense. She understood what her brother meant, and it made her frown. Just how long have I suffered, wishing that I could return to Rakenju in 1986. And now I finally made it here. So why are you chasing me out? You said I could decide for myself. That's right. I did say that. I'm not leaving, and please stop trying to spoil me with a strange made-up game. Unless I guess at one point, Angie went back into the piece Angie's body. I want to know the truth of this day. She's a moody girl, be it 12 years in the future or in the past. Shut up. I didn't ask you. I can tell it's her because of that face. That's definitely future Angie face. And what the hell do you think you're doing here? Didn't the Golden Witch come here to perform her resurrection ceremony? Didn't you appear on the island with a crash of thunder and try to offer up 13 people as sacrifices? Why are you acting so happy and casual? It doesn't make sense. You're the one that doesn't make sense. What are you thinking? Do you want me to be a murderer? You wrote it down in a tale, sealed it in a message bottle, and threw it into the sea. 2 of those were discovered later on. Both of them were stories of cruel serial murders. What a shame that only 2 of them made it to shore. How sad that land, my greatest masterpiece, was never seen by human eyes. Land of the Golden Witch. I've been wanting to ask this for a while, but what's up with those message bottles? As I was working the details for my game against you, I began creating those tales along the way. Once I realized that I could create endless different tales out of the same game board, it really started to get fun. So you wrote them down, hoping that I'd read them someday. Precisely. They were so good, I just couldn't bear to wait for your return. Inspired by Agatha Christie, I tried sealing them in bottles and throwing them into the ocean. Mysterious, don't you think? Don't mock me. Those were your plans for the crime. You used the location of the hidden gold to fan up discontent between the family members, as you planned your brutal serial murders. Sheesh, is that what I've become in the year 1998? Well, I guess I can't blame them. Huh? What's with the sudden change of character? Is this some scheme to make me let my guard down? I'm not going to be fooled so easily, Beatrice, Oni-chan. You want to make me surrender and say that witches exist, don't you? You think I'll fall for that? I'll find the truth without your help. Even though that truth is all around you right now? You once called yourself Gretel, but it seems the name... I assume Mittel would be more fitting. Enough. Angie tried to slap Beato's cheek. However, the distance between their heights was so great that Beato dodged before the hand could reach her. Stupid. Stupid. I won't accept it. I'll never acknowledge this farce as the truth. After Angie yelled those words, her eyes grew cloudy. They cleared up almost immediately. By that time, she had already gone back to her 6-year-old self. You're right, Angie. This is the sin I left behind, and the reason for this final tale's existence. What are you talking about, lady? As Angie stared blankly, uncomprehending, Beato gently patted her head. Indeed, this tale is a farce. Of course it isn't the truth. However, there's something that he feels he must tell you. Something he's so determined to convey that he went to such lengths. Beato, I'm already showing her. I don't want to force it on her. I see. I don't understand what you're saying. I'm sleepy. True. We should probably go take a nap. Kinzo, must I remain here longer? My apologies, but I must ask you to stay for just a bit. Moving on, Kraus. The continued support of the Fukurin house should be viewed as your responsibility as the Ushida family head. What a pain. Forgive me, Battler. It seems I cannot go with you. Genji, would you mind taking these 2 to the guest house? As you wish. Battler-sama, Andrew-sama, please follow me. Thanks. See you later, Beato. Of course. I have a mountain of things I wish to discuss with you, and I'd like to have some time alone tonight. We must act the pair of a married couple every now and then. What do you mean, act the part of a married couple? Not with the other cousins around. Because Angie had gotten so bored, she had grown very sleepy. It would probably be best for her to go take a quick nap. Balor walked through the windy rose garden, pulling her by the hand. When he questioned their guide, Genji, he learned that the old servant had known beforehand of Kinzo's desire to return the gold to Beato, and settle the inheritance problem early. The master decided to start preparations early for his final task in this world, the ending of his life. Most people don't think much about what happens after they die. Guess grandfather just lives on a whole different scale. Today marks the start of a new flight, when the Ushima family will depart from the Golden Witch's patronage. That's true. That's a pretty cool way to say it. Apparently, a grand Halloween party was to be held tonight, and Goda and the others had been ordered to start getting ready for it. However, it wouldn't just be a party. It would be a ceremony to mark the return of Beatrice's gold. At the start of dinner, grandfather would make the announcement, and the 3 generations of Beatrices would be thanked for their gift to the family with a round of applause. Apparently, this was what they had planned. Are we still keeping the secret from Dad and the others? Technically, it is a secret. However, the master did not suddenly begin thinking in this way today. He has considered this day many times, over many years, and has even discussed certain matters with his children. I doubt that anyone will be surprised to hear this night's announcement. Apparently, my old bastard's been running all over the place trying to get money for his company. I guess he'll be dancing around when he hears that grandfather's giving him his part of the inheritance early. A nice present for him. I rather think the great responsibility is what will spur him on. Ever since Rudolph Summer left the island, he has succeeded splendidly. However, his success so far has been supported by the master's wealth. And now that he's suddenly getting his inheritance money, he'll have to keep going by his own strength alone in the future. That's some nice pressure for him. Siblings must have suffered for decades because of their father's excess of success and ability. Simply having a parent who is too successful can be a great burden to a child. And tonight, they'll be leaving the nest, truly becoming adults for the first time. It seems the master plans to call this night a gold returning ceremony. However, he originally intended to call it a living funeral. Sounds pretty depressing having a funeral while you're still alive. It's better than having one after someone dies, I guess, right? Can't say your final goodbyes then, it's already too late. Still depressing though. I'll admit that calling a day to start a new journey as leave the nest fits the Ushimura family much better. Oni-chan, I'm sleepy. Look, we're almost to the guest house. Do you want to go to Mom's room? Or to the cousin room? I don't care. I'll sleep until dinner. I relate so much with Angie. Angie, still holding her brother's hand, crouched down and looked as though she was about to fall asleep. Sleepy, 6-year-old Angie is my spirit animal. Batman lifted her up and carried her. As she felt the warmth and safety of her brother's back, Angie drifted off into sleep. Alright. That's probably a good stopping point, so I can do about 2 hours of DoD as well. Bit short, but it has to be like that. We only really got through so much. A, because I yapped a lot, and B, because, you know, we're still at the start of the game. All the games are a little bit slow. I said game, and yeah, episode 8 is a game, but the game is different in it. But, anyway.